Let me say something that might sound a little crazy. You should not automatically pay for collections. Now, hold on. Listen. I'm not saying never to pay them, but what I am saying is that most people, they never go about collections the right way. See, a lot of times people end up paying them, but really what that ends up doing is it ends up costing them money and their credit score. Because what most people don't understand about collections is the fact that there's a certain burden of proof that the collection company has to provide in order to legally be able to collect that debt from you. But most people don't know the law. So they're able to take advantage of most people. And I don't want you to be most people. Fat Danny, baby. Rich Rising, y'all. It's your boy, the Real Fat Danny. Welcome to Wealth Conversations. Today, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't automatically pay for collections. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what debt collectors are legally required to provide. So you need to stay tuned in. Make sure you like this video, comment, and subscribe, because this is a channel where we talk about financial literacy, y'all. We talk about how to get to that next level. I'm 28 years old and I haven't had to work at a job in the last 6 years because I applied myself to learn from mentors who are willing to teach me how to get to that next level. I didn't come from a rich family. I went to public school. I didn't come from some rich, wealthy background. And I didn't even know anybody that owned any businesses or that was financially free or financially, massively financially successful when I was younger. So by the time I got to college, I realized that I had to start investing in my mindset. I had to start investing in mentors that were willing to teach me the blueprint on how I could get to the next level. So that way I could escape the financial matrix that unfortunately my family was not able to escape. And I don't blame them. I'm very grateful for where we're at. But I knew that we were able to get to somewhere that we never been before. And I was willing to be the one to pave that path. So I want you to understand why collections and why your credit matters. Because credit is still the gateway to wealth, y'all. It's still the gateway to financial freedom. Credit is the gateway to business funding. Credit is the gateway to home ownership and real estate. Credit is the gateway to opportunities. It's the gateway to leverage. And I always say that credit is the key to leverage and leverage is the key to wealth. And most people are stuck because they were taught to avoid credit. But you see, credit is about strategy. It's about mindset. Credit doesn't run on emotions. It runs on documentation. It runs on data accuracy. So let's clear something up, because collections aren't the original debt, right? When you understand what a collection is, you realize that it's actually a third party. So it's not the original creditor. It's a third party that's claiming that they have the right to collect on that debt. And usually that debt was bundled or it was assigned or it was sold for pennies on the dollar, which basically means that you never even signed the contract. You never signed a contract with this third party company, but they're claiming that you owe this debt and they're claiming that you have to pay it to them. All right. Well, what we understand is that we never signed a contract with them. And so this matters, like legally. So here's what nobody explains. Owning a debt is different than proving that the debt is yours, right? Like these are two different things. Owning the debt versus proving that the debt is actually yours. So under federal laws, this burden of proof is actually under the debt collector. It's not under you. Like, for example, if I said that you owe me, the burden of proof lies with me proving that you owe the debt. It does not lie with you proving that you don't own the debt. Does that make sense? So the law, it doesn't require you to prove that you don't own it, that you don't owe it. It requires the debt collector to prove that you do. So let's talk about what these debt collectors are legally required to provide in order to legally collect debt from you. And listen carefully because this is where most of them fail. All right, so listen, they must provide proof that they own the debt. That basically means chain of assignment or the bill of sale. They must provide the name of the original creditor. They must provide the original signed agreement or contract with your wet signature on it. Because at the end of the day, anybody could have signed a contract with your name on it virtually. It's 2026. They must provide a full itemized account history. That means charges, payments, and fees. They must provide a correct balance calculation because any discrepancy could mean that it's not valid. And anything that's invalid means that you aren't required to pay it back. They must provide the date of the first delinquency. They also must prove that this debt is within the statute of limitations. Now, each state has different statute of limitations, like different years that the statute of limitation holds in each state. They must prove that they are licensed and authorized to collect in your state, because a lot of these debt collection companies aren't even licensed or authorized to collect in the state that they're trying to collect debt in. And if you request validation, they must mail it within a required time frame. So they can't just do it whenever they want. They can't extend beyond the time frame that's required. And listen, y'all, most collectors, they don't have it. Most of them just have spreadsheets. They don't have contracts. They don't have that signed agreement with your wet signature on it. Because once again, a lot of times they get these debts bundled for pennies on the dollar. But here's where people mess up. They pay the collection account thinking that it's going to get removed from their credit report, thinking that their credit is going to get better, thinking that their score is going to go up once they finish paying for the collection account. And unfortunately, they're terribly wrong. Because paying for collections can actually hurt you. It can restart the statute of limitations. It can prove debt was yours when maybe it really wasn't. It can validate bad information as yours. So listen, paying a collection does not guarantee that it's going to be removed from your credit report. It might actually go to a $0 balance on your credit report because we see it all the time. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people fix and build their credit with my credit restoration service. And we see it all the time where people have paid collections off, but it's still on their credit report. So what this means is you're still going to get denied when it comes to financing, funding, and even for housing or real estate. They might turn, a blind eye at you because basically they see a collection on there. Even though it's at a $0 balance, they still see the collection on there. And so most people believe that if they pay it, it's going to be removed from their credit report, but it does not get removed from your credit report just because you pay it. And even though it has a $0 balance on your credit report, that's still not good because you will still get denied. A paid collection is still a collection until it's deleted off your credit report. And that's what most people aren't telling you. So let me be clear. There are times where you may have to pay the collection. It may be a good idea, but it has to be strategic, y'all. Only when it's part of a bigger plan. Because you have to understand that when you do pay for the collection, you have to get a signed agreement from them stating that they will remove it and delete it off your credit report if you do pay it. And with our clients, we actually just advise them to let us do what we do, and we actually help them get it removed from their credit report because, like we said, most of the time these debt collectors do not have all of the required information that they must provide in order to legally collect from the client. So you have to understand that credit is chess, it's not checkers. You have to know that every move has to be strategic. So what should you do? One, you have to demand validation. They have to validate that this debt is yours. They have to validate that they're legally able to collect on this debt, that they're within statute of limitations. All of these different things that we talked about today, they have to validate this information. Audit the accuracy of the reporting. Because if there's any discrepancies, if there's any inaccuracies, you can use that for your advantage to be able to get the collection removed off your credit report for good. Check the statute of limitations, because if they're not within statute of limitations, then you don't even know what they're talking about, right? And if it gets to the point where they're able to provide all this information and they got your back to the wall, then negotiate a deletion. Do not just pay it off and think that it's going to be removed from your credit report, because you're going to be in for a long ride when you pay for this collection account, but it's still on your credit and you're still getting denied. Remember, you have to use strategy. Do not be emotional through this process. Remove emotion and use all strategy. See, this is bigger than collections. This is about how the system works. The system was designed to hold you back financially. How come they never taught us about credit in high school? So that way, as we grew up and graduated high school and became adults, we understood how credit actually worked. So that way we didn't get into situations where we had collections, where we knew the significance of what a late payment can do, of what a collection can do, of what a charge off could do, of what negative accounts could do for our credit, and how that would negatively impact our life. Most of us have not learned that when we were growing up. So as we become grown adults, we suffer the consequences of ignorance. So I don't want you to suffer the consequences of ignorance no longer. If you have collections on your credit report, understand what we're talking about today. Rewind this video, watch it back, and take notes if you have collections right now, and understand what they legally have to provide and do your research, right? This isn't financial or legal advice. This is for educational purposes, right? But we do help people actually fix and build their credit in real life, remove collections, charge-offs, late payments, inquiries, wrong or old addresses, fraudulent accounts, and negative accounts that are negatively impacting your credit, which is negatively impacting the quality of your life. Because at the end of the day, we live in a capitalistic society, y'all. And in America, your credit matters. Like, it's the foundation to dang near everything in America. So understand that credit is not like a moral score. It's a financial score. Like when we were in high school, we had our report cards that kind of showed where we were at in school and kind of what type of time we were on at that point in our life, right? Well, as adults, our report cards is our bank statements. Our report cards is our credit scores, is our credit reports. Understand that credit is a financial tool, and tools only work when you know how to use them. See, I've watched people go from denial letters and below 500 credit scores to six figures in funding, and we walked them through every step of the way. From bad credit to six figures in funding, personal funding, business funding, 0% interest business funding. We help people get it all and get to that next level. So if you want step-by-step guidance instead of guessing, instead of going to all these different YouTube channels and trying to put all these different pieces of the puzzle together, just make sure you subscribe to this channel, because we're actually going to talk about how to get you to that next level with your personal credit, your business credit, with your business, with your social media so you can market your business, with AI so that you can stay up to time with what's going on right now, because a lot of people are going to get left in the dust. But here, we're staying ahead and we're leveraging the resources that we have available, which is our credit, which is funding, which is the financial and mental resources that we have access to because of mentorship, because of high-level entrepreneurs. Because like I told y'all, the reason I was able to get to this point was because I got access to high-level entrepreneurs and mentors and business owners who are doing 8, 9, and 10 figures, right? So understand that if you want to get to that next level in life, you have to reach up so that you can get hold of someone that's holding their hand down and willing to pull you up. Because there's a lot of people that aren't willing to pull people up, y'all. And I know there's a lot of fluff online. There's a lot of people capping. There's a lot of this, that, and the third. But I can guarantee you here at this channel, you're going to be able to find real success if you tap in and use these principles that we talk about. So, no, don't blindly pay for collections. When you get collections, don't just automatically pay for them. Take a deep breath, relax. You are in power, okay? They have to prove, they are the ones that have the burden of proof. But if you don't say anything, if you don't respond, if you don't communicate, then it's almost like you're saying, that, hey, it is my account. It's almost like you're saying, it's, I forgot the exact word, but basically when you're not saying anything, it's almost like you're compliant, almost like you're agreeing with it. So that's what happens when collections send you mail and you don't say anything, and they keep talking, trying to communicate to you, and you don't say anything. You can speak up. It's a communication process. You can send a cease and desist letter, tell them to cease all communications, couple that with a debt validation letter, having them validate all the stuff that we talked about here today. Listen, y'all, we're going to talk about all this type of sauce so that way you can get your credit right, you can get the funding you need, and so that way you can get financially free. All right, so that's it for today. But make sure you tap in. We're going to get you to the next level here, and we're going to help you escape the matrix for good. It's your boy, signing out. Let's get it.
Fat Daddy, baby.